Welcome back to Toronto. Always, it's great to have you back here.
Thank you.
This is where you made this phenomenal film. And, you know, Lenny, I read the book, and when I read the book, I thought, how on earth are they going to make this into a movie? And you have just outdone yourself. It is by far my favorite film at the festival. How daunting a task was it, you know, to make this?
Well, it's funny because I was so blown away by the book, and I was so, I had such a strong impulse to make it into a film, and I went about that with full commitment. I wrote a long letter to Emma. We started talking, and it took a year or so before I got to a position where I knew I was going to be making it. Yeah. And at that point, I suddenly thought, ooh, this is actually going to be extremely difficult. Yeah. I mean, so I was aware of that all the way. I think the main difficulty, really, in a way, the main difficulty was finding Jack, you know, because without the extraordinary actor that we found, I don't think we would have had a film. And then, of course, it's such a complex story, and half of it takes place in this very small space, which leads to like lots of logistical problems. How are you going to shoot that? How are you going to make it feel interesting for an audience over an hour, which is what you spend in there? And then how are you going to make that transition into the second half of the film and still hold the tension? So there were a whole load of challenges around it, but luckily Emma Donoghue, who's the author and also the screenwriter, she was so collaborative. We worked so closely together. She was so open to the ways you need to reconfigure a story to make it work on film. Yeah. So in the end, I think we just worked until we'd solve those problems.
Yeah, and like I say, so not just extraordinary telling the story, but yeah, let's just talk about Jacob Tremblay, because we were just talking off camera, and I said, in my 30 years of doing this job, I have never seen a child actor as superb as this kid. If he doesn't win an Oscar, honestly, I'm giving up my career. Like, honestly, he is so fabulous. How did you know he was going to be able to pull this off for an 8-year-old? My goodness.
I mean, when because we looked at, obviously, lots and lots of boys for this film, and searched all over the US and Canada, and then this kid from Vancouver pops up on tape, and there was just something already. I mean, he'd been coached a little bit by his parents, who are great and really good acting coaches, in fact, as I discovered as we went through the process. But there was already something very special about him, a certain kind of self-possession, which is, for a boy so young, is kind of amazing. And I saw him I got him to tape again with some notes from me, and then I came over to, I think I met him in LA with a bunch of other boys that had also taped and we thought were interesting. But Jake was the one I had my sort of fingers crossed for, because I thought, I wanted to see how directable he was, because you don't know that until you sit in a room with somebody. Yeah. And we spent a couple hours together, and I knew after 10 minutes, I knew after 5 minutes
he's the one.
That he's the one. Yeah. I mean, and he, like I've said to people, sometimes for children the task is just, okay, be natural in front of the camera. Already that's rare, that you find a child who can just be themselves and be believable. But this is an actor's role. It's an incredibly...
He carries the whole movie.
He carries the whole movie. He has huge there are scenes where he really needs to lose his temper. He's upset. Yeah. And to be able to do that, I mean, obviously it takes a lot of work as a director to make that performance consistent and coherent, and to find the line through it, and to help him, because he's still a 7 and an 8-year-old boy, so he's distracted and...
Sure. I mean,
but it has to be in there.
Yeah.
And in Jake's case, it's in there. I think it's a great performance, even if he was a seasoned, middle-aged actor.
Well, and then you put him with Brie, who, again, another phenomenal performance.
Absolutely.
But the two of them together.
Yeah, and they sort of look like mother and son, which is this amazing, wonderful thing that happened. And I think one of the things that helps that chemistry is that we got them together really early. So. We also made sure that the designer, Ethan Tobman, who's a brilliant part of this whole process, another Canadian, he got the set ready for us quite a bit in advance, so that Brie and Jake could hang out in there. They made lots of those little craft toys and mobiles hanging from the ceiling. They made those themselves. They did Lego stuff. They hung out. Wow. So the two of them became really close. And Jake, because Brie is so warm and funny. Yeah. Jake fell in love with her, and she fell in love with him, and that means you can't fake that. You can't just stick two actors together cold and think you can just start pretending and it's going to be great. It took a lot of that prep and just carefully introducing And Joan as well. Joan spent a lot of time
Joan
with
Allen,
Brie.
I mean, come on.
Amazing. She's my hero. I mean,
Yeah.
she, when I saw her in the Ice Storm,
Yeah.
I know how long ago that was. She absolutely blew me away, and
Yeah.
so it was a dream to work with her.
Yeah,
And
well,
Bill Macy and everybody. Great cast.
As a dad, did you, after you finished making this movie, boy, does it make you just appreciate your life and your family so much.
So much. And I mean, I think that's what drew me to the novel. Being a dad, I had a boy of 4.
Yeah.
And this is a story about a boy of 5. And I was just, Max, my boy, was just, I was projecting him onto this character all the time. In fact, I was saying earlier that my wife and kids came with me to Toronto for the shooting. So last year, Max was in elementary school out on the beach.
Yeah.
And but one day he said to me, "Dad, are you going to work early again today?" And I said, "Yeah, I am." It was a Saturday. And he said, "Are you going to be working with that boy?" And I thought, oh no, he's like, it's like I'm being unfaithful to him with another boy.
Oh,
But actually, they got to be pals.
I was going to ask
they
that.
did,
That's
yeah.
nice.
They did
Yeah.
trick or treating together and all sorts of stuff.
That's
Which
fabulous.
is lovely.
Lenny, I can't thank you enough for this movie. You've done an extraordinary job with it, and I just hope that we're going to see you guys in award season. I mean, I know we will. I'm not even going to say
You're
I
so
know-
kind.
You're really, honestly, hats off to you. You've done a fabulous job with a fabulous book, and that doesn't happen very often in my book. So thank you so much.
Thank you.